I'm Victoria Marin, and I am a social media producer here at Inside Edition. In 2005, I was a graduate student studying abroad in London, and I was there for the 7/7 terrorist attacks. It was terrifying, obviously, to be in London during the bombings, but the best word I can think of to describe what it was like to be there at the time is surreal. It felt like an out-of-body experience. You know, it was only a few years away from 9/11.
People faced their fears and went back on London subway trains and double-decker buses less than 24 hours after the horrific bomb blasts that brought the British capital to a standstill. This is the heart of London's financial district and the location of the first bombing. The morning after the attacks, London commuters are back, but the scene is definitely somber. I met these American exchange students from Florida State University in Tallahassee. Their dorm in London is just yards from one of the worst bomb blasts.
It's so scary to see that it can happen to you and that we were so close to it. I was terrified.
Student Chris Purita told me he might have been on one of the doomed trains, but he overslept.
I was supposed to wake up early, and I decided to stay in, and I wanted to go see the Wax Museum, and that would have been on the tube.
Together, we joined millions of Londoners as they went back on the tube, the London subway system. Student Katie Tilka told me she sees it as an act of defiance.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to let it get to the point where I'm not going to go on the subway. Of course I'm going to go on the subway.
We descended deep underground to the narrow tunnels which just hours before had echoed with cries of pain and grief. The mood was solemn as we climbed aboard to begin a journey back to normality. It was an act of courage repeated all over London. We showed our video to Katie Tilka's parents, Jackie and Dan, in Port Charlotte, Florida. They were relieved after 24 hours of anxiety over their daughter's fate.
Extremely relieved.
Yeah, as a parent, it's wonderful to hear her voice.
Nowhere was there more tension than here, on top of London's familiar red double-decker buses, especially the number 30 bus line. It was on this number 30 bus where 13 people were killed and dozens injured. Climbing to the upper deck of a bus today was sobering, knowing that so many had climbed stairs like these to their deaths. Former New York literary agent Catherine Marino, who moved to London just 2 weeks ago, went to work by bus despite her fears.
Getting on the bus this morning was a little bit nerve-wracking, but everyone seems to be going on with life as usual here.
In the aftermath of 7/7, the simple act of boarding a bus has become heroic.
The terrorists want you to stop what you're doing and want you to stop living your life and live in fear, and I'm not going to be that way.
When I first heard about the bombings, I immediately thought of 9/11 and wondered if this was going to be a similar experience. It felt out of body. I felt like I was watching myself go through something like in a book or in a movie. I was watching myself in a movie. When I first heard about the bombings, you know, again, my reaction was stunned. I was stunned. It was surreal. I was terrified. It happened in the morning, and you know, because I was in graduate school, I didn't go to classes every day. I had a job, a full-time internship in Soho, a neighborhood in London, and as often as I could, I tried to go to the gym in the morning before work. And I was at the gym, just wrapping up my workout, about to leave to go home, when all of the TVs in the gym started flashing breaking news. And, you know, this is 2005, so this is before people had smartphones where they were getting alerts and seeing what was happening in real time. And so I remember everybody in the gym kind of stopping in their tracks, including me, and just staring up at the TV and watching what was happening in real time. You know, we were all stunned. I remember there were a million thoughts and questions going through my mind in what felt like years or hours at least, but I'm sure were only a few seconds. You know, I wondered, am I safe right now? Should I stay here? Should I try to get home? Is my home safe? Where do I go? Who can I trust? I have to admit, I wasn't thinking about how can I be useful in this moment? How can I go help somebody who's in need? I wasn't thinking about being brave. I was truly in kind of survival mode. I wanted to make sure I stayed safe, and I needed to figure out what steps to take to do that.
This is how it looked underground in the London subway train moments after one of the bombs exploded. This chaotic, terrifying scene was captured by a cell phone video camera. You can see the windows blown out on either side as people struggle to escape the stricken train.
No, in the interest of national security, I can't say anything at all. Ladies and gents, we need to clear now Russell Square. Please, for your safety, please start moving down.
And this is how some Londoners above ground learned their city was under attack, as police urgently evacuated whole neighborhoods. As bombs exploded across London's subway system, there were scenes reminiscent of New York on 9/11. There was that same look of stunned disbelief, the same dazed stare of the survivors, and the same grit and courage in the face of terror.
I heard a very loud bang, the lights went out and the carriage filled with smoke, and people were thrown forward.
I don't know what happened. You probably know more than me. It was just, I don't know, but there's some seriously injured people there. It's not good.
And with London brought to a standstill, scenes of thousands walking were also a reminder of similar scenes on 9/11. This was a London double-decker bus carrying commuters. A bomb tore off its roof and sides. The other bomb blasts were underground in subway tunnels and stations. The scenes of terror and chaos were all in stunning contrast with these scenes of celebration just 24 hours earlier. Reading the news, London had been chosen to host the 2012 Olympics. In times of crisis, the British rely on tea, and these Britons poured tea for police and passers-by. Americans woke up to urgent news flashes carrying grim images like this as the toll of dead and wounded continued to rise. U.S. networks stayed with the drama as it unfolded for much of the morning.
It's hard to know that there are more people that have to walk in our shoes.
Among those watching the drama unfold on TV was Lori Van Orken, whose husband was killed on 9/11.
You dream about it, you have nightmares about it, you wake up screaming about it, and here those people were doing what we've had these nightmares about for the last 4 years.
In Scotland, where the leaders of the world's richest nations are attending the G8 summit, a shaken Prime Minister Tony Blair had a defiant message for the terrorists.
The terrorists will not succeed. Today's bombings will not weaken in any way our resolve to uphold the most deeply held principles of our societies.
And the president expressed his outrage over this day of infamy.
The war on terror goes on.
After the incident, the mood in the city was definitely really somber, but again, it was also really stoic. People were very deliberate, they were very stoic. People were still kind of going, it seemed, to where they needed to go. And so it was, I think, in those moments that I really started to realize that there are a lot of cultural differences in how people react to crises, and that old kind of adage about the British culture of keep calm and carry on. It became very clear to me that day and in the days thereafter.
I was with my producer Mike Korn. We were doing another story, and we got immediately 911s on our pagers. Jumped out of the car. I immediately started shooting, and all pandemonium broke loose. In the confusion of the second tower coming down, Mike ran one way and I ran another way. I thought that was it. There were people to my right who were banging on a building door, and which at the time was locked, which I said to myself, that's kind of strange. But eventually someone came and let them in, and I fortunately felt my way over there, found the door, opened it up, and was out of hell's arms for that moment.
sub-basement. Get everyone to the sub-basement.
I guess there must have been a couple of dozen people in there, holding each other, crying. I guess trying to figure out what the heck happened.
How you doing? Close that, close that. Keep your eye closed.
Who needs a doctor? Who needs a doctor? Could you walk?
Get anything you can get.
And then all of a sudden they said the building has to be evacuated.
No!
We all went up the stairs and out the door. And what I saw was apocalyptic.
Where's the seaport? Right ahead.
Nice and slow. Nice and slow.
I had two very special tapes with me. I said, well, let's start walking back to the studio so they can put the show on the air. It is pretty scary while it's happening, but I have a camera and I have a job to do, and I do it to the best of my ability.
You okay? Yeah.
I'm in the corridor of what appears to be a typical Iraqi home, but things are not as they appear. The U.S. military tells us that this is a former Ba'ath Party headquarters, and behind these doors, they believe, was a torture chamber. The chamber is made of concrete. It's not more than 700 square feet in size, and there's very little natural light. Walking in here made me think of a medieval dungeon. Dark, dirty, hidden, and as I would learn, potentially deadly.
You're basically treated like an animal if you're in here, at the very least.
Master Sergeant Greg Carroll of the United States Marine Corps discovered the torture chamber with his elite team. They believe it was run by Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party. As U.S. forces first drove into this area, they saw smoke coming from the building.
Whoever owned this building or operated out of it at the time that the Marines were coming through Nasiriyah set fire to this to cover up or hide or destroy something.
Folders filled with passports and other documents fueled the flames, but there's evidence whoever set the fire was trying to hide much more. We were shown 3 tiny holding cells, only 4 feet by 4 feet wide. Solid steel doors built to lock away whoever was unfortunate enough to be put inside. But the most disturbing part of our tour came when we were shown this, a car battery with wires attached. The U.S. military says the battery may have been used as a weapon of torture, a horrific device that could cause extreme pain or death during barbaric interrogations.
Electric shock, something along those lines, but that's the only cell that we found anything like that in.
It's difficult to imagine exactly what may have happened in here, but anyone who would have been destined for the torture chamber is surely grateful it has now been destroyed.
And joining us now from Baghdad is reporter Paul Boyd. Paul, give us an update, please, on the security situation there.
Well, Deborah, security is improving every day. Day by day, the U.S. military continues to work with local Iraqi forces and also the emerging Iraqi military that they're trying to train and make sure that things are as safe as possible. On a personal level, you know, just when I start to feel comfortable, I hear another explosion. That said, as you can see, I'm not wearing a flak jacket. I generally feel safe, and I think most people are continuing to feel a little bit better about the security situation here.
I know when you were out and about, you ran across a demonstration today in Baghdad. What were the people protesting for?
The people there were protesting their fear that America is moving into occupy Iraq. A lot of angry people, a lot of loud voices, but definitely nothing violent, and overall, they still appreciate what America's doing.
And is day-to-day business life starting to come back to some sort of normalcy?
slowly but surely we're seeing things are getting back to normal in some of the surrounding areas within Baghdad, but right here in the city, it's still very, very quiet. There are rumors that the main market downtown here will get up and running tomorrow, but it's a slow process, as you can appreciate.
And what about any rumors on the search for Saddam Hussein?
The rumors continue to swirl, but we do know that the Pentagon is putting out a cash reward, upwards of $200,000 for information leading to someone within the higher regime, and they're also hoping that people will come forward with information on weapons of mass destruction. This is a new initiative being announced today out of the Pentagon. We'll see if it turns up any leads, Deborah.